Hello, Antioch. I wanted to just briefly come to you this afternoon to give you an update on some information that most likely you've probably heard that came out today. President Trump has made an announcement that he is requesting that all governors allow all the churches in their states to reopen and regather again. And so I wanted to address that announcement and what that announcement specifically means for us locally here in Simi Valley and for Antioch. There's a number of different factors that impact our ability to meet publicly that I wanted to quickly address for you to bring some clarity and clear up any confusion that there might be. One of those is that we are a part of a family called Foursquare. It's our denomination, and our denomination has done a fantastic job during this pandemic to provide all kinds of resources for us at the local level. And one of those resources is legal counsel. They have, taken great lengths to make sure they find out what is the legal advice that we can have for local churches regarding guidelines for us gathering and the timing and all that goes into that. One of the things that they've established, which they've given to us, is kind of our legal rule of thumb, is this reality that the strictest guideline in place always wins. In other words, that means that if the county or the state has a stricter guideline that is currently in place than even the federal government, then that specific guideline wins. And that is the case that we find ourselves in now. We know that the County of Ventura and the State of California have guidelines in place that request that churches meet on live stream and not in person yet because of the risk of the spread of COVID-19. And so we continue to abide by those because those are the ones that are in place. However, the good news is that the governor has mentioned that on Monday he will be releasing specific guidelines from the state of California on what it will look like for churches to regather or reopen again. So we look forward to his announcement and what that will mean for us. So in regard to that, moving forward, I want to let you know that we obviously are excited about the president's announcement today, but also know that we want to move slowly so we can do this wisely. That we know that it's important that once we are able to gather again as a church, that we are doing it in such a way that not only is there the sense of safety, but the reality of safety when we gather, that we're doing this the right way. I will let you know that I've already started a dialogue and are continuing to engage our leadership on what it will look like for us to regather again, and we'll continue that dialogue this week. Also, once we find out the guidelines from the governor and we continue to move forward, there will be a video that will come out later next week that will highlight what are we going to do moving forward, how is this going to look for us, what is the time frame to answer many questions that you might have. But I want you to know I'm excited and I anticipate the chance to once again meet again in public, but we want to do this right in the appropriate way. The staff has been working really hard to procure the appropriate things that we need in terms of sanitation equipment and requirements, and we know that we don't have all those things in place yet because some of those things are actually hard to come by. As you can imagine, in the pandemic there is a shortage of a number of things, but we're working to move towards that so that we can be able to meet in the appropriate way sooner than later. But I will tell you something that's really important that I'd really like us to kind of change the language. There's this question of the call for churches to reopen. And embedded in that statement is this assumption that somehow the church is closed. The good news is the church is never closed. In fact, our church has seen God do amazing things over the last 2.5 months while we've been in this season of pandemic. In fact, we've seen God do amazing things. We've seen more people come to Christ in the last couple of months than we have in quite some time in our public gatherings, which is great news. More and more people are being discipled as we connect online with our community groups, which I know it's difficult. We'd rather meet in person. But our community groups continue to do laundry love and care for the needs of those they've built relationship with in our community. We've been able to partner with the Samaritan Center even further than we normally do. We would normally support them financially, but we've been able to do more to help them as they care for the needs of the homeless community in our city. We're now partnering with Children's Hunger Fund as we're collecting food to put into food pack boxes that will be able to be distributed through Children's Hunger Fund that will actually meet the physical needs of food as well as the spiritual needs of those people, and as a chance to hear and see the gospel in action in their lives. So God is doing amazing things among us. And so we are not closed, we are open. We are just engaging the process and the dialogue of what does it look like for us to regather again. And as I mentioned, we will be able to address that more specifically this next week. But for this weekend, immediately, we will be continuing our live stream services at 9 and 11 this Sunday, as we will have over the last couple of months, and our midweek live stream at 7 p.m. next Wednesday night. But this next week, we will begin to dialogue about what does it look like, because we want to make sure that when we re-engage gathering together, that it is the best for all involved. So we're not sure how that will look. Most likely it won't look like it was before in terms of having full capacity in our auditorium and a full complement of children's ministry, but we will address those challenges as we receive guidelines to make sure that we do this well in a way that honors the Lord and protects the testimony and witness of our church in our community as we continue to fulfill God's purpose even in the midst of this crazy time in this pandemic, because we know that God is still at work in our lives, in our church, in our city, and in our world. Again, we will see you at 9 and 11 on Sunday morning for our live stream. God bless you.